Thank you, Jerry. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My task here is to welcome and introduce our eminent professor, Professor Wainaina, who has been with us in the morning. I'll just briefly again go through his citation. He's a professor of business analytics in the Department of Management Science and Project Planning, Faculty of Business and Management Sciences at the University of Nairobi in Kenya. His education qualifications, he has a PhD in agricultural economics. He has also a Master's of Business Administration and a Bachelor of Education. Professor Wainaina has extensive working experience with Kenya Vision 2030 Delivery Secretariat, where he was acting Director General as well as Director for Social and Political Pillars. He was with the World Bank, where he was a Senior Education Economist. He was also with CARE International in Kenya, where he was Regional Coordinator. And also he was with the University of Nairobi Enterprises and Services Limited, where he was the Deputy Manager, Managing Director and Business Development Manager. As pointed out earlier, he also has a long-standing resilient partnership and working relationship with the governments in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, South Sudan, Rwanda, Ethiopia, Malawi, Zambia, Botswana, Ghana, and Nigeria, as well as with the organizations such as UNDP, World Food Programme, UNICEF, World Bank, African Development Bank, the FID, and Council of Governors. Professor Wainaina has published several journal articles and book chapters. He has also successfully supervised quite a number of PhD and master's students. He is a business analytics expert with excellent skills in leadership, governance, policy development, strategic planning, plans development, and management performance, contracting, monitoring, evaluation, and learning, and a specialist in education economics and planning. Professor Wainaina will be guiding us on the following topic, which is enhancing skills for innovative research. This topic is in line with the ASFI vision, which is to raise the next generation of African scientists with the right competencies to drive Africa's developmental and transformative agenda through innovative scientific research. Professor Wainaina, I kindly invite you to interact with the audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Musaini. I can see Bright was asking whether I'm around. I've just come from a nap, so I'm very much around here. I was here in the morning, on the panel discussions, and we looked at the various issues, water ethics and all that. So this afternoon, I'll probably be taking you through the opportunity to see what skills do we need to enhance as we look at innovation in Africa. As we pointed out strongly this morning, is a must. It's a must with respect to innovation in Africa, because that's the way to go. There can't be another way. And therefore, there are certain prerequisites which we need to address, and I'll be talking on that. But more importantly is who do we focus on? And probably my thinking here and my prescription is the youth. If you wish, not even Gen Z, but Gen Alpha, who perhaps have taken a different perspective in terms of looking innovation. So that's probably that's what I'll be focusing on this afternoon. And I look to perspective, then I'll look some of the skills required, focus area or areas of opportunities in Africa, area to focus on, and then I'll have a conclusion. So if you may allow, I'll do the sharing here. I hope I'll get it as quickly as I can. Let me see, got it the right one here. Just give me a second. I go back to Zoom. Yeah, this is it. I hope you all can see the screen, right?
Yes, we can see it. Yes, it's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And on this day, 27th of October, I'm really looking at enhancing skills for innovation and innovation research. And I think the topic very, very appropriate, respecting the respectable. So I want to step back and maybe provide a quiz. This quiz will be answered at the end of this. And the quiz here is made in dash, dash, dash. If you look there, we have a fridge, a cell phone, flat screen, and a microwave. So Faruso, as we go on, remember this quiz. It will be the end of the presentation, Eunice and the team. And this is made in where? Let's think through. So really want to look into perspective is really, if you look down the road, how much of the hours we are going to spend with respect to labor, and I've taken the data from 2018 to 2035, that's almost 25 years down the road, 10 years, excuse me. You can see in terms of percentages that the human is being replaced by the machine. 2018, 71% is more human, 29%. But when you focus and forward look in 2025 or 35, you're really talking about 22% are really getting into what you refer as human. And this also provides us an opportunity of trying to look in terms of the labor as a share of, let me put this, of human and machine. By 2025, you can see the division between human and capital and machine, that 2025, the blue represents the human, and you can see this is the same presented here, what I was looking earlier on in terms of the graph. Now, with this in mind, or this in perspective, we are seeing the machines taking a lot of responsibilities in 2025 next year. However, new jobs will occur in the next 10 years. It's the same stuff for those of us who went to the time of programming using the flowchart for BASIC, Fortran, COBOL. And one typical question we used to have in terms of the exam was, computers create unemployment. And God knows how much opportunities have been created by the computers today. So there will still be opportunities as machine takes over what human can do, because they leverage on efficiency. They don't say, I want a holiday. They don't say, I'm tired. So there's a leader opportunity for taking that. But at the same time, other responsibilities, other jobs, for example, green skills will be created as we head into the next 10 years. I always like this. I did present this in March, bright, if you could recall. I like it because it puts a difference between us and them. You know, looking at the participants here, probably they are not in this gap. But there's a gap between the gap we have today, and probably, as I pointed out earlier on, and really thinking through this gap, Gen Z, and they were very strong in this part of the country, or this part in Kenya, somewhere in June, really going out and saying this financial bill for 025 doesn't make sense, and they have a space. And I like seeing them as the next generation alpha. They don't operate what is not flexible. They're not 8 to 5 guys. Okay, if you want them, just SMS, text, WhatsApp, they're there. Always in the house, I buy religiously a newspaper, physical newspaper. And one of the things I buy, among other things, is to do the Sudoku. But they don't buy print newspaper anymore. They're in a different thinking, the social media. It's what in them. So this is a gap. This is the next generation. These are the people we are taking through our institutions. These are the people we are taking through research institutions. So what is this? How do we enhance their skills so that they are responsive to the needs, particularly, and I'm going to focus in Africa. Youth need different skills from the traditional institutions. Yes, they're always being rebellious. The traditional class tutorials, no. There's a different ballgame for them. They are either looking for skills, and we must therefore address the skills with respect to innovation. And I think we brought it very, very strongly this morning, those who had the opportunity to listen to the panel discussion, to make the society better. Because innovation has no other business and really making the society better in terms of the challenges they are facing. And what challenges, if you focus in Africa, we're having? And I propose and suggest, from my perspective, 4 main challenges which affect it in Africa. The food security. We need, as Africans, we need, as our young people, to focus on food security. All the way from Zambia, Malawi, South Sudan, Ghana, Niger, Somalia, food security. Interesting, a country like you, Tanzania. It's interesting, not a country really, sorry, a nation like Tanzania. They have food security almost 128%. And Prof, very clearly, I'm talking about Tanzania is not a country, is a nation. Botswana is not a country, is a nation. Nigeria, Kenya, Somalia, all these, they are countries. And there's a whole difference when you talk of a country and a nation. The founding father of Tanzania, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, took a different path of creating a nation, and he has managed. Had the opportunity to be there last week, and you can see what it means to have a nation. So that's a key opportunity, is a key challenge in Africa, the food security. How does, and these are the issues affecting the society. How do we then leverage on technology to address these issues? Food security. How do we leverage on innovation to address the issue of infrastructure development? Infrastructure, I mean from energy, whereby manufacturers cannot in Africa because it's too expensive buying the power. Thank God there are countries like Ethiopia who charge 5 cents per kilowatt. Countries like Nigeria, Kenya, they are charging about 16, 15 cents per kilowatt hour. Therefore, it becomes expensive for manufacturers. And what happens? They import. Instead of manufacturing, you get the goods being imported, you lose in terms of employment. Infrastructure development. Look at the transportation by air. If I want to go to Morocco, I have to go all the way to Dubai, or Europe. How do we leverage? How do we ensure Africa is connected by rail, by road? You go to Europe today, you choose, do I go by air, by train, or do I go by road? That's not possible in Africa. How do you leverage on that using innovations? How do I drive all the way from Nairobi all the way to Accra? It's a nightmare as we talk. We must focus on water abundance there. Water is everything. Water is life. We're still having our communities going for some time. Yes, we appreciate the socialization, but we need water for irrigation. We can't be food secure if there's no water for irrigation. We can't be food secure if we cannot get intelligent technology, innovations in terms of emerging technologies, which addresses the issue of irrigation in terms of using the little water we have. And above all this is tied by what we must focus on: pragmatic leadership. Forget it. If you have, and around my French, if you have thugs in leadership, nothing of this will be done. Therefore, as Professor Samuel asked this morning, we must leverage on creating strong, pragmatic leadership. Botswana gives us a very good opportunity. So is Rwanda. So is Senegal with the young man there. I don't see any other country in Africa. Abe in Ethiopia almost came it. I don't know why he lost it. Very wanting, because all this will not happen if there is no pragmatic leadership. Forget it. A pragmatic leader that says scientists, we need innovators, we need scientists, we need researchers in Africa who can transform the continent. I get sad when I go to Addis, talk to AU, you listen to one of them. Most of them are on their cell phones, inside their cell phones. Most of them are sleeping. In front of them, there's a challenge of changing Africa, the narrative. The Just UNGA, United Nations General Assembly, which ended in July. If you followed through, most of them were going with securities, getting the most expensive limousines in Europe, in the US, New York, or their counterparts were depend on. They were laughing. These are people that will still continue depending on funds from us, and they will control us. The research will be controlled for them. It's a carrot they use, our leadership, and that leadership, it's you and I. We must do, as I pointed this morning, educate, do civil education for our people. We must do that, whether we like it or not. As I look at Mopov here, we must do it Mopov in South Africa. We must do it Mopov in Kenya. Only this, innovation will happen. Research will happen in Africa if we have that pragmatic leadership. So, what are the skills required? What skills do we need to enhance? I bring 2 points here. First and foremost, we must focus in terms of emerging technologies, the know-how, the problem-solving, creativity, innovation, and critical thinking above all. Creativity and innovation. At the same time, and I hope Bright is listening, this must be combined with soft skills. We are not robots, and we will never be robots, you and I. That soft skills must be integrity. We must be driven by integrity in Africa. We must respect the values of our society. Such skills are emotions. A robot will never have an emotion. Oh yes, I can demonstrate to units have some emotions, but a robot unit will never display any emotion towards you. Sure, it will never. We must be the one to think through intuition, ethics, and empathy. So as we address innovation in Africa for research, we're looking at the hard part of it, the skill, the problem solving. We're also looking at the soft skills of it. And I propose to this conference here, as we get into the future, and I like focusing on the future because that's where we're going to spend the most of our time. When you look at our youth, because probably most of us are not the right people to look at innovation in Africa, they must think globally. They must know what's happening in Singapore. They must know what is happening in Canada, South Korea. So things work. A very interesting thing this year. Singapore Airline, one of the best airlines in the world, it's always number 1, 2, and 3. This year, they paid their workers 21 months salary, 21 months salary, instead of the 12 months because they made some profits. Tell me of an African airline which does that. They are collapsing. Kenya Airways have never made money since 2013. Became an IPO in 2006. Never. They must think globally. What are these driving the other parts of the world? Why is India perhaps to be the link with perhaps the first in the next 4 years will be second to China in terms of development? You and I must start early. We must address our youth. Let them get it early enough, even when to go to that Montessori, not necessarily reading it, but seeing what's happening in other parts of the world. We must also expose them. They must be flexible. Let them make a mistake. Let them be flexible, but they will experience it. Yes, this is it. And we must also develop strong leadership as young as they are. I go back to unpack each of these. What do I think that they should be? They must embrace creative thinking. They must ask why, what, how. They must know what works, what do we need to do. That thinking. They must integrate creative thinking with innovation. Yes, let's think globally, but we know our own challenges: agriculture, infrastructure, power, water, leadership, but act locally. That's key for our children. That's key for our young scientists. That's key for our own young innovators. Secondly, they must start young. It's perhaps one of the pictures I love with these young, loving girls here. Young. You can see they are full of energy. They are full of optimism. They are ready to go. They are not old and tired as some of us are. We must equip these young girls. Same with young boys, with the practical skills and indeed those tools which will make them practice innovation and creativity. That is taking them to the farm. Yes, this is a dry area. How can we turn it to greenery? This is where the food comes from. How do you build water ponds? How do you build dams when it rains? And when it rains in Africa, it really pours. How do you harvest that water? How do you use smart technology to ensure that water is only required when it's necessary? These are the people, these are the young people we need to. If you wish, they are not spoiled. If you wish, make sure that they think more than anybody else. They think the same like anybody else in any part of the world. Thirdly, they want feasibility. You can't work with them without we must make their innovation skills. We must enhance their innovation skills. But as we do that, they want to be seen. They want the social media. They want to get connected. They have to have Wi-Fi. How do we, in terms of innovation, ensure their work gets out there in terms of the space, in terms of the communities? They must make it flexible. Yes, they're innovating, but they're very clear that life, personal life is important, and they actually believe in the family. So how do we make life, family, and work balance as we do the innovation? That's possible. And lastly, but not the least, perhaps the most important, they must provide us a vision. They are the one going to read the vision of Africa, not the guys you go to Addis and you find they're just in their phones and sleeping. No, these are the ones. They must have a vision for Africa. There must be positive attitude. They must have sense of humor. They're good communicators, inspiring, and above all, there must be people of integrity. They must read us to doing this, achieving a common goal of making Africa a wealth continent. Our continent. Yes, we can stand and say, yes, our youth have made us who we are today. So those are the kind of things, probably the leadership, the social aspect, young, and thinking globally, but acting locally. So what is our response? Particularly some of us who are in academia, particularly those of us who are in working environment. Three things that are perhaps more focused on the academia. Researchers, we must go beyond online classes and on management system. It's not just getting to online, the Zoom or whatever. We must leverage on emerging technologies, Internet of Things, blockchains, artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things. We must go beyond hybrid learning. How do we, as young kids in Ghana, in Togo, in Ethiopia, South Sudan, Malawi, Zambia, how do they learn? How do they innovate? Because the challenges you find in Zambia is the challenges you find in Uganda. And above all, we must equip them with core skills, careers for life, innovation, in transdisciplinary learning, transdisciplinary, to have sociology skills, creativity and innovation, leadership and communication. Communicate. They must tell us the innovations they're coming up with. That's our response. Fourthly, we must come up with innovative instructional strategies. We must find the ways to address some of the challenges we mentioned out. Are they project-based leadership, work learning, and peer teaching? We must invest in learning and development of the faculty. Yes, we need to appeal our instructors. I can't be teaching and at these skills we don't have. Yes, we must find a way of sharing. Take sabbatical, go to South Africa. Take sabbatical, go to South Sudan. Go sabbatical, go to Cairo. And what I love, we must always look for the change. We must prepare the team for inevitable change. Change will always be there. You'll be living perhaps in the food domain if you don't think there will be change. They still will be there. So how do we prepare ourselves for that change? Unfortunately, things like COVID, we know, but there are changes we know will happen in the next 5 years. Yes, as we talk, the Starlink is taking the country by storm. As we talk, there's a new guy in Washington who is going to drive the agenda of the world. Trump, we know how he thinks about Africa. How do we prepare for that? You're running businesses. You're running internet, bandwidth, Wi-Fi. There is Starlink with Elon Musk. How will you change the narrative for those companies in your own country? In conclusion, 4 things I suggest here, for strongly, and I believe in them. We must leverage on the emerging technologies. No way to go about it. There's no way we are going to talk about innovation without leveraging on the technology which exists. Like, for example, a simple kind of technology, the way we are communicating all over the world, in the afternoon, in the morning, whatever. How do we enhance the skills? People must learn what we talk about AI. They must understand what we talk about machine learning. Trust technologies. 3D. We must focus on innovative instructional strategies and build core skills in this transdisciplinary learning. And lastly, important to invest in our own institution. Yes, that was Dr. Kenan this morning. She was saying funding. Funding is never an issue. It's us coming with strong programs and projects. Funds will be found. It will be the easiest thing to do. But let me share here, being in the developed space for some time and even worked for those international organizations, they all use funds as carrot. They all use it. Why are we not food secure today? And I want to leave that question to you people. Who buys the most grain from America? It's WFP in Italy. Who knows WFP? They do. Where does that grain go? Farming in Africa. So they'll do whatever it takes to make sure that the African farmer does not grow grains. I'm talking about maize, I'm talking about rice, I'm not talking about wheat. So they encourage Africans to grow avocados. They will encourage Africans to grow flowers. And we don't eat flowers. Prof, you cannot tell your family, hey, today our meal is avocado. Avocado is not a meal. Tanzania is now the best producer of avocado, so we are talking in Kenya here. But that's not a meal. We have run away from grains. Those are the areas we need to think through. Because if you cannot feed your own people, today is a military weapon. We can see what Gaza has been done by Israel. So let's invest in learning and development of our faculty and researchers to readdress the challenge I'll be talking about. And perhaps the world is changing, and it's changing on a daily basis. Our education will become irrelevant in the few decades. We must step up and look at changes and innovate for the future. As a continent, we don't have any degrees of freedom. We don't have any laxity. We must. I find it very interesting. You find when we go to conferences, Africans, 3/4 of the time we are in our mobiles. We're not even listening what is happening. We need some seriousness, people. Quiz time. Quiz time. This was the quiz. All these items were made from where? The fridge, LG, is from South Korea. Samsung is from South Korea. LG is from South Korea. And Samsung is from South Korea. Go back. If you go to most of the sitting rooms of most African homes, all these items are there. 5 years back, all these items was from Japan. Korea stepped back and thought through. Korea stepped back and used their head. And no other. Look at this. The industrial robots. Today, as we talk, Korea beats everybody in terms of industrial robots, followed by a tiny country which has no natural resources, but they have the brain, they have the human capital. They are teaching about green skills today, Singapore. The third is a country also which doesn't have natural resources, but you have the people who have brains, Germany, Japan, China, Sweden, Hong Kong, Chile, Taiwan there. And you're talking about the US. No wonder they get all this into the space. No wonder they have innovated and come up with efficient refrigerators. Yes, before even Apple came with their OS, we had Samsung there. This is what we are talking about innovation. We must find a way to innovate, to do the challenges I pointed about. Don't even first think about industrial, because we are still not food secure. The worst thing can happen in the country. No leadership should stand there and justify itself if it cannot feed its people. Be it be Chad, be it be Botswana, be it be Tunisia. Parting shot, this is it. This is what innovation brings us. We must disrupt Africa. The days are gone when the tax were the ones which were taking us to the airport or from point A to B. The days are gone when Kodak had the films. And I keep saying this one, you better get Uberized, or you'll be Kodaked. You know what happened to Kodak. We don't know Africa to go there. It's only from innovations. And it's interesting, if you follow the story of Kodak, in early 2000, one of the workers had actually innovated the kind of cameras we are talking today. But then Mr. Kodak in the US didn't take it seriously. So he was taken by Fuji. And the rest is history. But we all know the story of why the Kodak and all that disappeared. It is rumored that, and I think it could be true, there was a couple, a Japanese couple, which used to go to Paris in summer. If you want to love city, it's Paris, and it's beautiful in summer. So they used to go there, and they used to go every time they go there, would go with this Nokia, so that this Nikon camera. They would ask somebody, okay, take us a camera, so that take us a picture. So in the fourth year, they go there, and they probably give somebody from Kenya called Kamau, who are Kikuyus, and they give him the camera to take a picture. And you can imagine what that fella did. He ran away with the camera. So they say there must be a better way. And that's how the cameras came in the smartphones. If in Africa, we want to start a business, very, very keen you want to start a business, I've always said, if it doesn't work on the smartphone, please don't waste your idea. We must innovate and use the gadgets we have. Asanteni sana. That's what I had for the team. And in any case, those are my contacts there. Both a faculty member at the University of Nairobi, 0722-788-718 plus 254. Asanteni sana. Thank you very much. And back to you, moderator.
Thank you very much, Prof, for this timely presentation that you have just done. Respecting the respectable. That's your title of your talk today, and it is really revealed many of the things that we were still lacking as the African continent. Just to summarize some of your things that you have said here, I think you started by talking about the Generation Z, who, in a way, you'll find that they are spending most of their time on the internet, like using their cell phones. Therefore, in terms of the print media, they are no longer looking into those things. And also, you talked about the issue of human jobs which are now being replaced by the machines. And also, even though that is still the case, but we know that there are some jobs that will be coming in the next 10 years, especially in the green economy. And maybe if you can also unpack that for us, I think it will be very much rewarding. Like when we talk about the green economy, like maybe just try to expand on that one. And also, there are some 4 issues you also mentioned, or 4 challenges, like the issue of the food security, and also the infrastructural development, as well as the water abundance. And the last one being the pragmatic leadership. If you talk about food security, Prof, I think I recently listened to one of the professors who was also talking about a concept known as food sovereignty. And maybe if you can try to distinguish between the two, because like the professor was saying that we are focusing on food security, but what we need to do is to look at food sovereignty, which is the one which is better for us. Maybe if you can just bring your thoughts around that issue, that would be good. Maybe before you go, you come to my questions and concerns. I just want to look at the charts here. I think there were some questions that were, I think there's one question which I see, which is saying, can we say that academic freedom is an important component in innovation? What about political freedom? That is the first question, maybe that you can attend to, Prof. Over to you.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Musaini. I did appreciate your comment, and thank you for the comments coming on the screen. Thanks, colleagues. Thanks, participants, and I do it with this passion because I want all us to be innate. That's all the way this continent will change. As I say, if we are together, it will be difficult to really go through us. But if we are divided, it will be so easy. The first issue you raised, the Misaini, it's the issue of food security and sovereignty. We are talking the same thing, but I like the second one. You have sovereignty in it. That's the whole concept. I think they are related very, very strongly indeed, in terms of really getting ourselves self-sufficient as Africa. Yes, there's a lot of correlation, not a lot, strong correlation. Excuse me, not strong correlation when you talk about academic freedom and when we talk about innovation. By the fact that innovation is probably, in lack of a better word, you have a freedom. I cannot innovate if I'm between the 4 walls. It can't work. I have to break the walls, right? And a story be told, a young man was asked, give me 4 benefits of breast milk. And one of the benefits he wrote is that it doesn't need to be boiled. And of course, he had other 3. And I thought it was a very interesting answer. The breast milk doesn't need to be boiled. But the teacher was expecting it's nutritious. Yeah, it gives immunity. But the kid knew that. The child knew that. So innovation must have the freedom. You cannot confine somebody this, I want you to innovate in this area. Indeed, at times it doesn't have parameters. And therefore, it operates where we have the freedom, not necessarily academic, beyond academic. Even the government of the day must appreciate people think differently. And through that thinking is when we come out with innovations. So yes, to answer your question, yes, indeed, there's a lot of relationship, or rather, there is a high relationship, strong if you wish, between academic freedom and innovation. That's probably how I look at it.
Okay, thanks, Prof. There is another question from Prof. Noru. where he's saying that he likes your opinion that funding is the simplest thing to get. I'm really keen to know the secret of where the money is. This will really help the SFI. Can you share the key with us, please?
I really brilliant, bright. I hear your comment, and I can see it on the chart. It lies you getting our colleagues in, like Karen this morning, getting our sister in Ethiopia, in Egypt, getting somebody from South Africa, thinking down or sitting down and coming with the proposals. Let me give you an example. About 2 weeks ago, we had a research week in the University of Nairobi, and we had somebody who has been in government. We had somebody working in research. I was there as academia. And after the talking, we said no. And we had a colleague who was a lawyer. And we said, this is talk. But we gave ourselves 6 months to come with a proposal whereby we were talking about agriculture. If you look at your own country, do we have lawyers who know about futures contract in agriculture? None. So we actually said we are going to do a proposal. And we have all this mind. I coming from the business, analytics, agriculture, the lawyer, and do a proposal where we'll be addressing that issue. Now, the money lies in those proposals, Brian. If you recall 2000 in Dakar, yes, Dakar, 2000, education for all, the big five, UNICEF, UNDP, World Bank, they said money is not a problem. The problem, the biggest challenge we have in Africa is getting credible projects which addresses so we need to, and what I'm proposing here, Brian, you have the team here. We can even take those 4. How do we, as government in Africa, address the issue of food sovereignty? And very clear, there's no way you'd address food sovereignty in Africa. And a good team, Dumusaini gave me a very good term today, if we don't have water. And you see how they are related. So it's a question of having right thinking mind and coming up with proposals. And I can tell you, some of them might not be funded. And I can tell you for sure, there is no developed economy who to fund Africa to be food secure, because we are killing the market from their countries. But African Union, the resources we have, see what happened in Niger. That country has cleared the debt with IMF. 2 years. They have cleared the debt with IMF. They don't need them. But what did they do? They looked at what France was buying, whatever they were buying there, $2 or $20. Now they're selling for $2,000, $20,000. So there are countries now which are growing up. There are countries which are coming up with that leadership I'm talking about, and they're seeing the sense of us being on our own. And I can't give a better example. That's what happened in Niger. However young he is, he has got that country out of the IMF program. IMF has never got anybody, and the IMF will never get everybody. They get you from HDU to ICU. They get you from ICU to HDU, whatever. They never take you to the ward. So you need to be careful. But let me share with you, team. As an African leader, you have to be careful about what happened to you. I propose to you, it's very difficult for a president to have died because of COVID. And I'll leave it to you to think through. Do you think Magufuli in Tanzania died because of COVID? I repeat, did you think Magufuli, and you go to Tanzania today, you see what he did he die because of COVID? I hear our friend in Niger, he has no permanent place of abode. We must think through and see how we are going to lead it. Get in touch with people like Bonko, who became the president of Botswana. Let's get in touch with the guy in Niger, Rwanda of this Africa. And those are the people, in my view, will make Africa move forward. And those are the people who they can say, yes, this makes country, as a country, we are committing this much. Back to you, moderator.
Okay, thank you, Prof. There are, I think, 3 further questions here on the charts. The first questions come from Dr. Joanna Adeleke. Prof, you said innovation and creativity should be encouraged in children. Could you give us pointers on how this can be done?
Sorry, I didn't get the question again.
You said innovation and creativity should be encouraged in children. Could you give us pointers as to how this can be done?
Oh, creativity and innovativity, as I said, and innovation.
Yes.
I'm looking for, I'm not talking about now even perhaps children, I'm even looking from, as I said, about even Montessori, and even looked at the point we are talking about the university. Step back and look at how the kids are learning in Singapore as early as they are in the basic education. They are learning about green economy, what they call green skills. Because Singapore, one of the key aspects they have today is what we refer to as the challenge by the environment. Why can't we, as early as possible, try to challenge them, try to say this, take them to dry land. See, this is the area you grow up. It could be this arid area. What do we need to do in this area? Take them to another area. This, they use irrigation. What does happen? So and what I'm trying to say is that creativity, when they see that and compare that, they start thinking through. We must go to areas they can see the practical part of it. We must, yes, classroom is great. In this country, in Kenya, we have come up with what we are calling curriculum-based, competence-based curriculum. Competence-based curriculum is basically addressing what you can see, what you can do. And leave it open, let them think through, guide them. But don't tell them, yes, the benefits, one of the benefits of breast milk is immunity. Let them tell, no, one of the benefits of breast milk, it cannot be boiled. It cannot be stored, and of course, it cannot be stored unless you come from Uganda or Zimbabwe. I hear the men take the milk there. And I'm sorry for the men from Uganda or Zim who are here. So we give them an open mind and create that creativity.
Okay, thanks, Prof. The other question is saying that, do you think basic education in Africa need reform? If
Absolutely.
yes,
Absolutely.
if yes, how to convince policymakers to reform education for innovation?
You're right. And that goes back to what we have had discussion this morning. How do you convince the society innovation makes sense? Innovation is good. By addressing the needs of that society. If you go to your community, I don't know which community you come from, and you tell them the innovation will address your water problem you have, they'll listen to you. I shared this morning at Karamajong in northern Uganda, the World Bank, which I was a team working them out, World Bank then, went to Karamajong and they said, we want to build classrooms. And they told them, on no a certain time, we don't need classrooms, we need cow dips. So that we can take our animals there. They are not ticks, they are good. We sell them, we can build the classrooms. The World Bank went ahead and built the classrooms. They never asked them. They saw the animals were sleeping in those classrooms. So if we are therefore going to look at in terms of what you're talking about here, then it must be driven by what the challenges our community are having. And then and the only thing we realize the politicians, and this is a responsibility each one of us have. And when we came to this country and we got competence-based curriculum, it was what we are getting out of our students when they go to create employment or where they go to employ. And we had a lot of problems with the industry. They're saying we're having issues. And surprising, it was interesting in 2023, about 70% of those people who had finished their secondary education, they chose to go to technical institutions, not at the university. Why? There were opportunities. So if you can demonstrate to the beneficiaries that by having education in this direction, they'll make those choices. The politicians as the office, the politicians have their own, they probably, and the good thing is, shamelessly, they will jump to the ship if they say there are benefits there. So to me, it's really focusing on the learner. If you can focus on the learner and show there's opportunity, if you take this way of doing your thinking or learning, they will take the responsibility and the politician will jump ship.
Okay, just to squeeze in this last question, Prof, I think I have only 2 minutes. The question is saying, while innovation can sometimes feel free due to its accessibility or funding models, it is rarely free to create or maintain. How can you recognize the investments and systems that enable innovations fosters a more balanced perspective on its value and sustainability? Just in 1 minute, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you. You sound like you're from South Africa or Zimbabwe.
South Africa.
South Africa. Oh, the accent betrays you. Nonetheless, you are African, all of us. I don't think it's a question of being free. It's a question of not having resources. If you look at the benefit you bring to the community, the benefit that you save a life, you cannot put any value on it. You can't, my brother. And let me point out, you remember when Steve Jobs, and it's well known, when he was on the deathbed because of the stomach cancer and all that, he said, I've realized even all the amount I have, I cannot hire somebody to come and sit on my behalf. If you can demonstrate that the innovation we are doing will prevent the family from cancer, it will make the family better off than they are. I'm telling you, my brother, the society is willing, even if it's what we call not necessarily the hard cash, but sweat capital. They will be willing to be with you. And what is more better than the sweat capital? They give you an enabling environment. It will be easier for us to do research. It will be easier to come up with innovations. So I'm showing that at the end of the day, and there is a lady, Karim this morning, the inclusivity. Because we must address, if you look at the socio-economic development, it must be inclusive, it must be sustainable. That sustainability cannot come from the funding from the out. It must come from our own sources. And I can tell you, if the community knows we have put some funds there in terms of sweat capital or otherwise, they will protect and they will support innovation in Africa.
Thank you so much, Prof, for always giving these insightful talks to us. We always enjoy your talks, and we are looking forward again to have you in our platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I really want to appreciate Dennis Eager here. Thank you very much, my brother. He says, given the short notice, the good professor had to think through the topic of discussion. This is stellar performance. Thank you, Prof. Thank you. It's not the short notice. I totally forgot. I thought I was just for discussion. So as we are going on, I tried to put something and I have shared with you.
You are good. Notwithstanding, you are great.
Thank you, my brother. You're the one saying that, Ega.
I will invite Professor Bright to appreciate our speaker, especially for your dedication and your support today.
Yes, thank you. And I always say that we are all together in this game, Bright. We are in this game. Me, I'm available anytime. And I even pay for my own tickets. But what we share is more than just the ticket for the airline. What we share in the mind is the most important thing, which will help our people to grow and move forward.
Yes, Prof, we appreciate. I think, yes, please make yourself available, because the aspect of the money, I'm not still satisfy. Yes,
There
so
you go.
I will still come back to that. Yes, but this is fantastic and also very thought-provoking. The young ones, I think we have really a big challenge ahead of us. Yesterday, I highlighted the fact that currently where we are doing better than every other region is in population growth. And if we do not put things to manage the population in the next 40 years, 50 years, Africa will be a bigger problem than we are today.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
then you have challenges that the first thing is food security. If we cannot secure ourselves with food, then we can't think about any other thing.
Absolutely.
So, colleagues, join me in thanking our honorable Prof, who has been here with us since morning, very fantastic performance during the panel discussion, and then giving us the challenge this afternoon. Thank you very, very much, Prof.
Thank you. And unfortunately, I have to check out because I have a class in the next one, 30 minutes. I have a class at 5.
No problem at all. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys, and wish you all well, whatever is remaining.